I would like to spend the second act of the show. I've been sitting on this piece. I've been sitting on this piece until we had the full gang assembled, because it's an extraordinary piece. I loved it, and it's the story of a business owner from the Bronx, from the borough of the Bronx, a New York City guy who had a simple, humble dream to sell pancakes in upstate New York, to expand his pancake franchise to upstate New York. And the article is about the now decade-long fight that he has been subjected to by the worst of all people, historical reenactors.
Oh, no.
This is from Curbed, The Battle of Fishkill. And I'm gonna dive into this here. It says, Dominic Broccoli, the IHOP kingpin of the Bronx, lives a good life. He drives a nice car, spends time with his 6 grandkids, and golfs often enough to have a tan for most of the year. He owns a 4-bedroom home in Pelham Manor, a house upstate, and IHOPs throughout the borough where he grew up, each of them which runs smoothly enough to give Broccoli the time and resources to devote himself, at the age of 66, to the animating force in his life, destroying his enemies. This mission came as a surprise to Broccoli, who had little reason to expect that trying to expand his pancake empire into upstate New York and build his grandest IHOP yet would lead to such conflict. But sometimes that's what happens when you find a dead body. On Memorial Day, Broccoli drove to his property in Fishkill, where a crowd was gathering to protest his planned development. These were the Friends of the Fishkill Supply Depot, a nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving the town's Revolutionary War history and, in Broccoli's view, to making his life hell. For more than a decade, the Friends have argued, based on some evidence, but not as much as they would like, that there are more Revolutionary War soldiers buried on Broccoli's land than anywhere in the United States. Broccoli argues that this is rubbish and accuses his foes, with some evidence, but not as much as he would like, of going so far as to plant human remains on his lot in their effort to make it seem more grave-stuffed than it actually is. So, the grandest IHOP in New York State is currently on hold because of some Revolutionary War era skeletons, but it gets better here. Broccoli told me that so they talk about, like, shows up, it is like there are Revolutionary War reenactors picketing picketing his property.
Oh my God, those guys! You give them any excuse to show up in the tri-corner fucking hat, and they are there.
Yep. So yeah, like the protesters marched up and down the edge of the property, careful not to trespass lest Broccoli call the police, while honks came in from passing cars. Broccoli had told me that he had planned to crash the protest with guns ablazing, but ultimately thought the better of it. If I go there and then my Bronx comes out, it's not going to go well, he said. His Bronx had come out plenty in the campaign to build the IHOP as part of a colonial-themed strip mall he was calling Continental Commons. The Friends of the Fishkill Supply Depot are a group of history buffs and retiree volunteers, and yet Broccoli claimed he had found it necessary to spend more than $1 million battling them with archaeologists, lawyers, and private investigators he hired as spies to infiltrate the Friends. As it happened, one of his spies was at the Memorial Day protest holding up a Stop Continental Commons sign while surreptitiously recording the group in case anything might help the RICO case Broccoli was building.
This guy had been around before the revolution. He would have rolled up that entire Tea Party conspiracy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would have showed up at one of the Sons of Liberty meetings with a fucking daguerreotype machine.
You don't want me to let my Dutch out here. Going on here, it says, Broccoli insists that he's not anti-history. I love that. I would love to see people who are anti-history.
I'm not against the concept that events occurred. Okay,
yeah.
I am not one of those who believes that there is only the present and that all history is a myth.
So it says, Broccoli insists that he is not anti-history. He doesn't dispute the fact that people are buried on his land or that the area is steeped in Revolutionary War significance. His vision for the IHOP involves His vision for the IHOP involves a waitstaff in tricorn hats and bonnets, but it was still a bit of a mystery exactly whose bones were buried on his property and who took them there.
This should not. You know what? I'm against this guy already because this concept is bullshit. If it was any other restaurant but the International House of Pancakes, I might be down. But you can't be going all colonial American heritage shit with an International House of Pancakes.
It's like the UN of breakfast places. Yeah.
Yeah, George Washington, in his farewell address, warned America to not get involved in foreign breakfasts.
It's true.
He says here, Broccoli believed it to be self-evident that he was the one pursuing the vision of life, liberty, and happiness that George Washington's troops had fought and died for, the right to sell pancakes where they were buried. I love the idea, though, he's like, I am not anti-history. I am respecting history by building the grandest and colonial-themed IHOP on top of a Revolutionary War graveyard. And the waitstaff will be in tricorns and bonnets as well.
They need to be selling hardtack and Johnny cakes at the
least. Oh my God. A colonial era American would drop dead if they ate a Rudy Tooty breakfast fruity bacon.
Yeah, if they had the moons over my hammy, blood would just shoot out of their fucking nose.
I mean, like it or not, those soldiers did die so people could eat patty melts.
It's true.
With French toast for.
He's got that correct
for bread.
That is their sacrifice, and we should accept that.
Yeah, no, they died for the soda machine that spits out slightly murky Sprite.
Dirty Sprite, but not the good kind. By the time I met Broccoli, his battle with the Friends had already lasted longer than the Revolutionary War. I'm gonna go after them with I'm going to go after them with a vengeance, Broccoli told me from his basement in Pelham Manor. He apologized for how long it was taking, 2 hours and counting, to talk through what he believed to be the many tentacles of the vast conspiracy against him, not to mention his entire family history. The genealogical tree, he told me, includes the Broccoli's of Calabria, who, as Dominic tells the tale, crossed cauliflower with Rob and named a vegetable after themselves. Not true, according to broccoli experts. And the Broccoli's that control the James Bond franchise. Despite never having met them, he has a copy of the New York Times obituary for one of the Bond Broccoli's on his office wall next to a photo of his graduation from the Culinary Institute of America.
Look, I'm giving him these. I'm giving him both of those. Okay. Yeah. Oh, what are the odds? How many Broccoli's have you ever met? Okay, it's all one thing. It's the Bond family, the vegetable. It's all one thing, and he's clearly one of them. Leave him alone.
And do you trust broccoli experts to tell you how broccoli?
What the fuck's a broccoli expert?
Broccoli expert? Get the fuck.
That sounds like
here.
A con artist. Some guy showed up at a MSNBC at the green room. He dug a tie out of a dumpster and says yeah, I'm a broccoli expert. Get the fuck out of here.
Broccoli could have been forgiven for missing any signs of trouble buried deep under the property he bought in Fishkill in the 1980s. 200 years earlier, in 1776, America's colonial government built a massive supply depot in Fishkill to provide Washington's troops with muskets, rations, boots, and whatever else they needed. It sat at a crucial crossroads 5 miles from the Hudson, just out of British naval range, but close enough for supplies to get to Fishkill Landing on the river, where Metro North now offloads visitors to Dia Beacon. Continental soldiers in the Northeast mustered there before deploying, and the depot supported major American victories throughout the war. But Fishkill wasn't top of mind for Washington even when his generals warned of British attacks. It goes on to say that there was also some sort of cholera outbreak or smallpox outbreak, and a lot of the people were buried in a lot of the soldiers were buried in a mass grave, probably on this guy's property. In 2007, Broccoli hired Sandy to see if there was anything important under his ground. This wasn't an act of archaeological generosity. The New York State Historical Preservation Office had demanded that Broccoli look for the long-rumored cemetery before moving forward plans to build a strip mall. He'd been talking to actor Chaz Palminteri about opening a Bronx Tale-themed restaurant as part of the development.
A Bronx Tale-themed restaurant.
It's like in the colonial theme IHOP next to the Chaz Palminteri themed restaurant. I would eat at a Chaz Palminteri themed restaurant. I bet they got some good.
Not Bronx style. That's not enough robust.
Usual Suspects.
IP. But yeah, exactly. If you do Chaz Palminteri, you got Usual Suspects. You got Running Scared.
Oh my God, yeah. I don't know. He wasn't as important to Running Scared as Paul Walker was, or even the amazing Pedophile Parents.
Yeah, give it up to the Pedophile Parents.
Yeah, one of the most horrifying bit roles of all time. But he was a very important part of that movie.
Yeah,
which some say most important movie of all time.
It's certainly the best film of the 21st century. I think we can all agree.
Absolutely.
The day after Halloween, an ominous sign, Sandy found something unusual. A few feet below the surface were seven ghostly silhouettes lined up. Once you've seen a bunch of graves, Sandy said. He and his team began gingerly digging into one of the rectangles with trowels and bamboo picks while Broccoli stood over them with his camera. I'm taking pictures of dirt, Broccoli said at one point. Imagine that. After 7 hours and 2 feet of careful digging, Sandy hit bone. It was powdery and in bad shape, old. The bone seemed to be part of a skull, and there were other fragments where a dead man's chest and feet should be. Sandy had seen enough and decided to stop digging. He called in the county coroner, who declared it wasn't a crime scene, then walked over to the Maya Cafe, a Mexican restaurant across the street, to take a celebratory shot. I thought that's going to be a national park next week, he said. A few months later, another archaeologist conducted a radar study on Broccoli's property that identified hundreds of anomalies that appeared to be similar to the graves Sandy found. So going on here, it says here, while Congress debated Schumer's bill, and this is a bill about Chuck Schumer, a bill about preserving sort of like historical landmarks and Revolutionary War shit and stuff like that. While Congress debated Schumer's bill, Broccoli wasn't sure what to do with the property. There weren't many eager buyers for a cemetery, and now bones were showing up everywhere. Sandy had found a dozen more elsewhere on the property. A rumor started swirling that workers installing a new septic tank at the Maya Cafe found another skull, which a local priest blessed before workers quietly put it back in the ground. When Broccoli decided to dig again, hoping another part of the property was soldier-free, his archaeologist turned up 4 more potential graves. Boy, I just... when you buy a piece of property and anywhere in the original 13 colonies, you gotta do shoot that radar into the ground and see how many fucking dead people are buried there before you start, having an Amityville horror type situation. There's another amazing detail in here. Where he says here, in 2013, Broccoli met with Lance Ashworth, the president of the newly formed Friends of the Fishkill Supply Depot. Broccoli offered to lease the Friends half an acre of land that included the grave Sandy had found while limiting his strip mall to the rest of the property. The Friends had bigger ideas. They wanted a whole plot. One proposal they were considering was the Fishkill Living Historic Park. It would have a proper cemetery, replica buildings from the depot, military reenactments, and a working archaeological site, plus a petting zoo and a zip line for anyone looking for fun rather than education. See, now this is the part of it where I begin to suspect that these Fishkill Historical Supply Depot Revolutionary War reenactors are just trying to get in on a better deal to develop the property than this IHOP asshole. They're like, because what historical battlefield shouldn't have a zip line involved in it? Oh, imagine if you could take a zip line across the Gettysburg battle, across where General Lee marched into withering cannon fire. Just do a zip line across that shit and go whee, and just think about how many thousands of bodies you're just sort of gliding over.
And they died for your right to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so jumping ahead a little bit, it says. After the Friends received a $24,600 grant from the National Park Service to conduct a survey of the archaeological work done on the site, one supporter suggested the best course of action would be to take that $24,000 to Vegas and try to turn it into whatever millions they need to buy the land, because that Broccoli man is very mad at them. It was in 2015 that Broccoli, having abandoned the Bronx Tale restaurant idea, why?
That had legs. It had wheels, actually, because that movie is very bus focused.
You could, you could have racist bus driver buffalo wings.
You could have Lilo Brancato as sort of a meet and greeter. He's not doing much these days. He could be sort of a host.
Didn't he kill a cop?
Yeah, he did, in stealing pills from a house in Staten Island or something.
Yeah.
But it says, okay. He abandoned the Bronx Tale restaurant idea and announced a new vision for his development. Continental Commons would still be a strip mall, but with a revolutionary patina. The buildings would have faux colonial designs, and the IHOP staff would serve breakfast all day while wearing revolutionary attire. He wouldn't build anything where Sandy had found graves. Continental Commons, Broccoli said, would be an exciting opportunity to weave together history, preservation, tourism, and commerce. He was pivoting to Patriot. By developing the property in this way, Broccoli declared, "I am the true historian in Fishkill." The media coverage put Broccoli on his heels. Ashworth proposed 3 huzzas for the Friends PR team, and also highlighted a narrative weakness for Broccoli: the pancakes. Broccoli had always been an enthusiastic member of the IHOP fraternity. He had listen to this. He had unsuccessfully pitched a special Italian menu centered on a dish he called las omelette, which combined eggs with pasta and meat sauce. And the company had initially been supportive of his colonial-themed restaurant.
That carbonara?
Yeah. But it's like an omelet with spaghetti and meat sauce in it. That does not sound...
No.
No thanks. But the IHOP Corporation, the controversy was giving the corporate office indigestion. Under pressure from the State Historic Preservation Office, Broccoli agreed to move the strip mall's parking lot further away from the graves. Ashworth warned the students not to visit the property because Broccoli would likely have them arrested. But while Ashworth was on vacation, Crosby encouraged the students to go anyway. When they arrived, Broccoli was having lunch at the Maya Cafe and walked over. "We were only there for 5 minutes when Dominic came up," Alan Keene, one of the students, told me. "I thought we were in trouble. Instead, Broccoli invited them to join him for sangria on him. He already had his laptop open to make a surprisingly robust presentation arguing that the Friends' claims about his property were overblown. It was kind of weird," Keene told me. "Why does he have all this ready?" Crosby emailed Ashworth about the encounter. "This is terrible news," Ashworth replied. "How did Broccoli even know the students would be there? He somehow got wind of the protest the Friends were planning and derailed it. Something was up. Keep this to yourselves," Ashworth emailed the group. "For spies are at play once again in Fishkill." It's like the Culper ring up there. "Meet my spy," Broccoli told me with a smile. He introduced me to Crosby at Broccoli's Fishkill home. In his career as a private investigator, Crosby, whose real name is Ian Bondi, had worked plenty of strange jobs, trailing people to the airport to make sure they got on a plane, sitting in a guy's backyard to make sure aliens weren't visiting him at night. But his time infiltrating Friends of the Fishkill Supply Depot had been among the weirdest episodes of his career. "I thought this might be a 1 or 2 day job," Bondi told me. "I had no clue it was going to be years of my life. For several years, his entire family called him Alec. I had girlfriends that didn't know my name," Bondi said. This guy's like sheep dip into a decade-long operation against the Fishkill Supply Depot Historical Preservation Society just so this Bronx Tale asshole can build a fucking strip mall in upstate New York. The article begins like this guy plays golf every day, has a tan, has the money factory of IHOP restaurants in the Bronx, printing pancakes and money. He's got a home upstate. He's got a mansion in Pelham. Why the fuck? Why? Just stop. Why keep doing this?
The things you describe, yes, it's everything you ever wanted, which is the same as saying fucking boring.
Yeah.
There's no more worlds to conquer. There's no more challenges. There are no more fights. There's no more meaning being made. And now he gets a new horizon. He's so happy to have this. I guarantee you, this is the happiest he's been in his life.
Well, yeah, you're right.
Able to go to war with the Revolutionary War reenactors.
You get to reenact your own war against the war reenactors.
Yeah, he's basically a veteran now, but he's a redcoat.
Yes. I guess I'm inclined to be on the side of history, but the idea that a man who had the idea that you could be as wealthy as this guy is and have had an idea to have a Bronx Tale themed restaurant is just I don't know if that makes me love or hate America, but baby, ain't that America?
It's certainly that. Nowhere else. We love it.
Broccoli had decided to hire a spy, several of them actually, including Bondi's mother, as his distrust of Friends reached a fever pitch. He tried sending an acquaintance to do the job, but he wasn't very good at it. Just sending his friend to be a spy. Hey, where's the Revolutionary War meeting? Which you use is the history people. It's like it's like when undercover cops only wear Yankees gear. Yeah. That's what I'm sort of thinking about with these guys going to the Friends of Fishkill meeting. It was a thrill to play spy games with an Wait, it says here. He said, so Broccoli reached out to a private security firm that employed Bondi to get some professional help. Here, Broccoli saw another good sign. This was from one of his espionage-adjacent relative. Bondi's middle name was James. While it was a thrill to play spy games with an FBI agent, Bondi said that getting in with the friends wasn't especially difficult. The group was so desperate for volunteers that it was happy to have fresh blood. Bondi tried to be helpful to stay in the friends' good graces, but he also found subtle ways to undermine their efforts. He had taken the community college students to visit the property and told Broccoli they would be there. The only time Bondi got nervous about his cover getting blown was when Ashworth brought an FBI colleague to a friend's meeting. Afterward, Bondi used his shirt sleeves to wipe his fingerprints off the table. This is excellent tradecraft going on here for like the stupidest thing imaginable. When the friends learned the truth about Bondi, they were shocked. A Benedict Arnold in their midst. Bondi had become such a core part of the friends that no one suspected him. I wouldn't have never ever suspected to have needed the same sort of vetting and validation for a group of volunteers as I would for, let's say, my profession, Ashworth told me. You feel gross inside. You feel embarrassed. You're always left wondering what was said that could be twisted. God, this is like, remember there was a case a while ago about like the British Metro Police like put in undercover agents with like environmental groups for like decades, and they fathered children with several of the women involved in this group.
Yeah, same deal.
But like, I don't know. I feel like there could be like sort of a charming like movie or TV show here about some sort of like private eye who gets employed to rat fuck some historical preservation society. But then in the course of volunteering for them, he starts to fall in love with this quaint small town and its connection to history. Just spitballing. When the friends, the reveal also made clear just how far Broccoli was willing to go. He had spent thousands funding Bondi's clandestine operation and believed it was worth every penny, especially considering a piece of intelligence Bondi obtained that to Broccoli showed just how far the friends would go. During a town board meeting, Bondi had secretly recorded a conversation between Steyer and Marty Beister, another member of the friends, in which Beister asked Steyer, "Were you there when we buried the bones by the foundation?" Ooh, sounds like it was worth it to hire this private eye. Bondi didn't know what to make of the comment, but to Broccoli it seemed to support an outlandish theory he had been developing. Could some of the supposed graves on his property be fake? The years since Sandy's initial discovery had produced some doubt about what exactly was in the ground in Fishkill. Sandy still had no definitive proof that the original grave he dug into belonged to a soldier, and the 6 bones he found later turned out to be from a deer. In 2021, Broccoli asked his cousin, an attorney, about the possibility of bringing a RICO case against the friends. A judge is going to go, "So you're suing all these old people," his cousin said. Broccoli did it anyway, filing a suit that characterized Ashworth's strangle and bleed comment as sounding like a La Cosa Nostra Caporegime. I love this guy who has only seen Chaz Palminteri movies to any event that encounters. This is kind of reminding me of a Chaz Palminteri film. I mean, like, I'm only giving you like a tenth of this piece, but I'm just going to skip you here to the end here.
What? What the fuck else is in there?
There's so much. I'm just going to skip ahead to the end. It says here, but for Broccoli, the Continental Commons had started to feel beside the point. This isn't about money anymore, he told me. This is about exposing what's going on. This is about corruption. More than anything else, Broccoli seemed to be getting a thrill from the fact that his life had taken him from the Culinary Institute of America to a standoff with a federal agent. He might be from the FBI, but I'm a graduate of the CIA, he told me on multiple occasions. The friends didn't seem to have much fight left in them. A clash for American history ending with a whimper rather than a bang. They didn't have the money to buy the property, and some members could admit their effort had always been a bit of a pipe dream. Were Americans really more likely to visit a cemetery connected to a Revolutionary War supply depot than stop for breakfast? Ashworth resigned as president last year after the FBI transferred him to the U.S. Embassy in Moscow. Jesus. Sandy was trying to hold on to the grim piece of advice from a friend who had worked for nearly 4 decades to protect the historical site in New Jersey. Wait until your opponents grow old and die. But the actuarial tables weren't working in anyone's favor. Sandy and Broccoli both turned 67 this year. As for Keith Riley, who took over from Ashworth and led the Memorial Day protest, even he had to admit that there are different American dreams. His wife supported the preservationist cause, but she told him recently that if Broccoli were able to, say, bring a Costco to town, she could probably forget about whatever was under the ground. So just a little bit of the American past and American present just coming into play, and a wonderful, wonderful story full full of life and just sort of like the past still lives with us at our pancake restaurants, at our zip lines.
I would say I'm with the broccoli man, unless they're going to dig up the colonial bones and like stage them, sort of like a tableau vivant deal, like a haunted house thing. Because like, who cares if there's bodies everywhere, man?
Yeah,
people have been around for a while.
Yeah, like
we keep burying them. Big deal.
Yeah, I know. Like it could be a site you want to build an IHOP on. It could be the backyard of a Catholic orphanage. But yeah, like there are skeletons everywhere.